Yes. So you can see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So last week, if you remember, right, we have started this extreme value distributions. Of course, we'll go to reliability, but extreme value theory also I have shown you. You remember, there are two methods are there. One is a generalized kind of thing, which comes from this Janedenko theorem, and another one is a peak over threshold, okay, which comes from this Picard's theorem, and then Pareto distribution and other things goes away, okay. So the basic philosophy, as already we have said, so if you have the data, say, okay, so the extreme values will behave in a, they will have a separate probability density function rather than the entire data itself, okay. So two distributions we had. So I have said you how to construct this, so you take several samples, you take the maximum values, and then if you try to see, you can extract this, the largest value. So this is what we have said, okay. So this is a parent distribution. So to the power of n, so n depends on the number of samples. So you can get your extreme value distribution. Now similarly for the largest value as well as for the smallest value also, okay. So this we have discussed, and finally, I have shown you exponential distribution, polynomial distribution, how their extreme values looks like. So if the sample size is 1, say, when n is equal to 1, so what happens is your extreme value distribution will be same as, the parent distribution itself. But as n increases, so the chances of getting extreme values will be more. So this we have seen in our last class, okay. So finally, truncated also we have seen. And finally, the mathematical theorem say. So this theorem says that any distribution, say, whether it is a normal, polynomial, or exponential, or whatever it may be, finally all the distributions mathematically, asymptotically, they will converge into three types of, the extreme values, okay. So this is a general expression which you can write for all these parameters itself. So now varying this, say, you can get, these distributions. So that is a type 1, okay. So now what did we say about type 1? What type of distributions come to this type 1 distribution? What is the most important thing we observed?
Exponential.
Very good. So exponential tail. So if the original data, so if it has exponential tail, so its extreme values falls in type 1. So this is a rule mathematically proven also. So exponential distribution, normal, Poisson, chi-square, whichever has e to the power of minus these things, say, automatically they come, their extreme values collapse to type 1, okay. Now type 2, say, which we are calling as a Frechet distribution also. So here the polynomial decay. So sometimes you may have distributions, decaying with x square, all those 1 by x square and other things. So they automatically boil down to this type 2 distribution, okay. Then the type 3 distributions, which we also call this as a Weibull distribution. So these type of distributions, it is not depending on the decay, like, it may have exponential or whatever may be, but things are constrained actually, okay, like 0 to 1, the upper limit is known and the lower limit is known, say. So then, they boil down to this type 3 distribution, okay. So now we started looking into close detail, like type 1, say. So this is expression which is widely written in many textbooks and everybody follows. So it has two parameters. One is un and other one is alpha n actual, okay. So yn stands for the largest value, okay. So now how to this, so this alpha and then UNs, how to find out from the data. So these alpha and UNs, they are related to the mean value and standard deviation. So we have the largest values, if I find out its a mean value, and then if it's a standard deviation, if it is known to us, say. So these are the expressions we can derive also. I will not go into detail. So there are textbooks, some textbooks may be there where they give this, derivation in detail itself. Now similarly for the smallest value also. So now alpha 1, then this u1. So these are the parameters you can estimate from the mean and standard deviation of the data, okay. So this, of course, these are the densities and those are the distributions. And we have said last class maximum wind velocity, say, okay. So the mean value of the largest values and standard deviation given. So if I want to find out, say, maximum wind velocity or something, so I can find out from the type 1 distribution. So alpha n, un, you find out, and then you substitute in this expression, so you will get your numbers itself. Okay, now so this, so here the probability is, you know, extremely low itself. So this is what we have observed in the last class. So sometimes in some type of problems, say, so we will be find out, you know, with the same problem. So like you say, what is the value of VD, say, okay, like, you know, what is the design wind speed, you know, corresponding to 100 years, you know, return period. Okay, the same problem only corresponding to, so the return period will be specified actually. Okay, so 100-year return period, say. So this also, you know, it will be a very interest actually. Like you say, the probability. Okay, so like you know, what will be the probability that wind speed will be, you know, more or, you know, exceeded actually. Okay, so this you also one can calculate. So probability is, say, your yn greater than the design wind speed. So this is, you know, 0.01. So reciprocal of return period will give you the probability. Okay, so this we will also. So now you have to find out this VD value such that you know, it has a return period of 0.01, say. So this also easily one can find out. So 1 minus you know, so Pyn of YD, you know, this VD is 0.01. So you solve this expression, say this anyway, you know, this probability distribution function. So e to the power of you know, exponent is minus e to the power of minus 0.17055. So VD minus the 57.9157, say, is equal to, you know, 0.01. So you have to solve for VD also. So if you solve this one, we will get VD as, you know, some 84.89, you know, miles per hour also. So this is how we calculate actually many practical problems, right? So corresponding to return period, what is the design wind speed, say? You can use the same expression, like, you know, they have mentioned you the, this is nothing but 1 by TR, that is the reciprocal of return period. So substitute, and then you can find out your design wind speeds also. Okay, so this is how, you know, you can apply this type 1 distribution. Now let us say this type 2, you know, the extreme value distribution. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, so the type 2 distribution, let us see. So which we also call this as, you know, the Pratchett distribution also. Okay, so how the, you know, expressions will look like, let us see this one also. See, voice is audible, right? You are able to hear, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think it just fell down the microphone. Okay, so now this expression, say, so we can write this type 2, you know, the probability distribution function. So Pyn of you know, yn. Okay, so this is you know, the same expression only what we wrote previously, minus Vn by Yn to the power of k. Okay, so this is the probability distribution function for this type 2 distribution. So you can derive this from this expression also, like long back, you know, this is a main expression. So all type 1, type 2, type 3, they can be written in this format actually. Okay, so if you take psi and mu sigma slightly, you know, you will get your original distributions. Okay. Yeah, so now this is a type 2, so you can write like this. Now the corresponding density functions, which is, you know, the derivative of this one, so small Pyn of Yn. Okay, so this will be, you know, k by Vn, Vn by, you see, Yn, whole to the power of, you see, k plus 1 minus, you know, Vn by Yn, k. And of course, Yn you see, is always greater than or equal to 0, and k has to be more than 2. So this is how the density function, you see, looks like actually. Okay. So now, as already we have said, right? So now you know, this type 2 distribution. So what type of tails comes for type 2? Now, so the original distribution, how it has to get decay?
So polynomial decay.
No, it should be a polynomial tail actually. Okay. So they automatically comes under, you see, the type 2 distribution. So now, the log normal distribution, say, which is a polynomial, because if x is normal, say, log x will be, the log normal distribution. So if x is normal means e to the power of minus, that x minus mu by sigma that will come. So when you take logarithms, that gets cancelled, and finally you follow, right? You will get this, the type 2 polynomial tail only. So log normal, okay. So some other distributions are there, many which comes under this, the type 2 distribution itself. The one more interesting thing is my type 1 and the type 2 say, okay. So if you say normal distribution is type 1, okay, because it has exponential decay. Now log normal say it is type 2 because it has, the polynomial decay. Because a log of this itself will be there. So there's a type 1 and a type 2 cell. They are also interlinked basically. Okay, like normal and log normal, it will be interlinked also. So if I have a yn cell, so if yn if it is a type 2, okay, if it is a type 2 distribution, so log of yn basically. So if I take logarithm say, so this will be type 1 distribution. You followed. So both of them are, the interlinked. So now the type 1 distribution, the parameters also, un of, the type 1 distribution is same as log of, vn, and then alpha n say is same as k itself actually. Okay. So it is something like, both of them are, the interlinked. There is a transformation between type 1 and then you see the type 2 distributions also. So now we have to find out the parameters are Vn and then K, how to find out these two parameters of my type 2 distribution. So for that also we have several, the derivations are there, and we have equations also. One can derive the mean values. So mean of Yn. So this is, Vn, gamma function will be there. Okay. So 1 minus 1 by K. So this and K is greater than 1 actually. So this is the equation for mean value, and then the standard deviation also, sigma square yn say. So it will be Vn square. So Vn square. So gamma function 1 minus 2 by K minus gamma square say. Okay. So this is gamma, this square. Okay. 1 minus 1 by K. Okay. K greater than 2. So these are the values actually. Okay. So knowing the mean value of the data, then the standard deviation or the variance of the data. So you have to solve these two equations, and you have to find out un and then K. So you have to solve for K. So you can see here the solution for K will be, it will be difficult because you are having a gamma functions and all other things are there. So it will be slightly, you have to do it numerically on a computer. And then coefficient of variation, say we can also write this 1 plus del square, say yn. Okay. So this will be gamma, 1 minus 2 by K by gamma square, say. Okay. 1 minus 1 by K. K should be more than 2, where delta, this is nothing but the coefficient of variation. So we have already defined that is a mean by sigma, the ratio is our coefficient of variation also. So knowing the data set, the mean value, standard deviation, coefficient of variation of the data, so you can easily find out, you can solve for, the K value, and then you see the un, the value itself. So this is for the largest value. Now similarly for the smallest value also we can derive. Okay. So for the smallest value, say, so the probability, the distribution P y1 of y will be, say, 1 minus exponent, okay, minus v1 by y1 whole to the power of, okay, this is for the smallest value, and it's a density function, say. Okay, so this one will be, minus k by v1, v1 by y1, k plus 1, and exponent value, say, minus v1 by y1 whole to the power of k, and y1 is less than 0. Okay, so this is for the smallest value, and this is for the largest value. Now here also you can find out mean, the parameters, v1 and then k, say. So they are also linked to the mean value and the standard deviation also. So similarly, so mean value of y1 is same as u1 gamma function. So 1 minus 1 by k. So this is the mean value. Then the standard deviation, say. Okay, so this will be, u1 square gamma, 1 minus 2 by k, okay, minus gamma square, say 1 minus 1 by k. So these are the expressions, okay, to mean value and standard deviation of the data. So using this equation, so you can find out new one, then this k value from this data, okay. And then of course you can also write for the coefficient of variation also, which is same as the previous one also, del square y1. So this becomes a gamma 1 minus 2 by k. Below is a gamma function 1 minus 1 by k. Okay, so these are the expressions, okay, for the smallest value corresponding to type 2 distribution. Now here to just have a feeling, so the same problem, okay, the whatever the wind speed example, whatever we did previously. Now, so if I assume that wind speed corresponds to type 2 distribution, say, so how does it look like? The same problem which we have solved a previous class, okay. So the mean value was 61.3, standard deviation was 7.52. So now we have to find out this probability that maximum wind velocities is more than 100 miles per hour. So we got this was the probability, assuming the data comes from the type 1 distribution. So now the same problem, say if I assume as a type 2 and I know the mean value and I know the standard deviation, I have to just find out the parameters, so u, vn, and then k itself. So now here the coefficient of variation, say, so which is anyway 7.52 by 61.3 sigma by v, okay. So this is a 0.123. So now the coefficient of variation also I can find out from the data. So now the only problem in type 2 distributions is the headache is you have to solve this equation basically for k, okay. So the problem is this is a gamma function we have here, okay. So and below also you have a gamma function and inside is the k. So this you have to do it numerically on a computer. You cannot solve directly or whatever. So you have to solve using MATLAB or somewhere. Say the gamma function is already there. So you have to solve these type of equations. Okay. So this turns out to be so 1 plus a point 123 square. So 1.015. So on your right hand side, say gamma 1 minus 2 by k by gamma square, say, okay, 1 minus 1 by k. So this you have to solve this the equation for k, okay. So you can do it only on a computer. So this turns out to be for this problem, say k turns out to be 10 actually, okay, by solving this nonlinear that equation. So once a k is known to you, say now you have to find out un, okay. So this expression we use it. So mean value of the data, k also you have to solve for vn, okay. So just substitute this one. So 61.3 is on your right hand side, nu n, gamma 1 minus 1 by 10. So this turns out to be nu n, gamma function 0.9 will be. So you solve, say, for nu vn, it is basically 57.36. So this is our vn. So once vn, then the k is known. So now you can find out the probability. So probability, say, so yn, okay, more than 100 miles per hour. So this will be 1 minus exponent minus is 57.36 by using 100 whole to the power of 10. So solve this expression. So finally this turns out to be 0.00385. So this is the probability actually, okay. And now comment on this value. Previously how much we got? Now you are assuming the data to be type 1 distribution, say. So if you remember, our probability was this actually. Now the same data, say if you model as type 2 distribution, so what is our conclusion? So what is your observation? So previously it was 7 something was it, now it is a 3 8 like that it came. So what is the conclusion? So what is your observation? You see 0.00385. Previously it was 0.000763. Now, so what is your conclusion? Now, what is the conclusion here? So type 1 gives this much and then type 2 gives this thing. So what is your observation? So what is that you have observed? What is the difference, like is it type 1 and type 2? So what is your comment on the probability? It has increased or decreased, or what is your observation?
It has reduced.
It has reduced actually. Okay, previously it was 0. No, it has increased. Sorry, now it is
Yes.
0.00385. Previously it was 3 zeros was there. You can see here. I think 3 zeros was there. You followed. So it has increased. When you assume it to be a type 2, you see the distribution itself. Okay, so you can get different results. Based on your you see, the assumptions of type 1 or type 2, what type of distribution you have to use and other things also. Okay, anyway, this is just an example. And now in a similar fashion, say type 3. So type 3 comes where, what type of things comes under type 3? Type 1 is, please tell, go ahead.
Uniform distribution, bounded.
Bounded distributions, okay. Truncated or bounded distributions. So they come under this is this one, and of course we also call this as the Weibull distributions also. So Gumbel, Frechet, and then you see the Weibull distribution. So here also now let us write for the largest value. Okay, when you have an upper bound, so we have an upper bound value is there. So now the probability density function, say it's a distribution function. So yn becomes exponent, okay, minus omega minus yn by using omega minus wn whole to the power of k. Okay, so this is our distribution function, and it's a density function, say Pyn of yn. So this becomes k by omega minus omega n. So omega minus yn by using omega minus omega n whole to the power of n k minus 1 minus you see omega minus yn by omega minus omega n whole to the power of is k. Okay, where omega is the upper bound. Okay, omega is the upper bound. So now parameters are omega n and then k. So these are the two unknowns. Okay, omega is upper bound anyway, that is already fixed. So yn is always less than the omega because of the upper bound itself. So now the parameters will be k and then omega n. So this only these two has to be defined actually. Okay, so now to define this one, so they say that this omega n, say, so this is known as characteristic, the characteristic largest value of x. So we also write this as characteristic largest value of x. That means the p of x of omega, so the original distribution. So this is 1, and then it is defined, you see, the p of x, okay, of omega n. So this has to be equated to 1 minus the 1 by n. So this is how it is defined basically. Okay, and then to find out this k value, say. So this is a shape parameter they define. So now to get these numbers, as already I told you in practice, whenever you have a data, so you can find out its mean and then standard deviation. So knowing the mean and the standard deviation, you should be able to calculate omega n and then k itself. So the mathematical things are there. So we will not go into those details. So the mean values of the data, that is yn. So this will be omega minus omega n, and gamma function will be there. Okay, 1 plus 1 by k, and then the standard deviation, say, so sigma square yn. So this is omega minus omega n whole square. Okay, so gamma function 1 plus 2 by k minus gamma square. Okay, 1 plus 1 by k. Okay, so these are the fundamental equations. So you know the mean value of the data, standard deviation of the data. You also know the upper bound of the data. So this also is known to you. So you substitute here and then you solve for omega n and k. Okay, so this is how we try to find out this, these parameters of our variable distribution. So now, so the only problem is for type 2 and type 3 distributions is you have this gamma functions. Okay, so this is, as already I told you, it is not that straightforward. You can solve it with hand calculations. You have to do, numerically, on a computer. MATLAB, of course, if you have gamma function, automatically it gives you the numbers. Okay, it's very easy. So this is the only problem is you have to solve this gamma functions itself. Now similarly, say for the smallest value. Okay, so smallest value also the same, more or less same only, but slightly different. So the probability distribution function. So this one will be, you see, 1 minus a to the power of minus y1 minus epsilon by, you see, omega 1 minus epsilon whole to the power of k. Okay, where epsilon is the lower bound. So now the density function also we can write, so which is nothing but the derivative. So this will be k by omega 1 minus epsilon. So y1 minus epsilon by, you see, omega 1 minus epsilon. So whole to the power of, you see, k minus 1 exponent minus y1 minus epsilon by omega 1 say minus epsilon whole to the power of k. And of course, y1 has to be always greater than or equal to epsilon h. So this is how, for the smallest value, the distribution looks like. And of course, you see the parameters are omega 1 and then k. All epsilon is already known to you because the lower bound of the distribution, you see, we know here itself. So now we have to find out this omega 1 and k. So similarly, here also we can write these type of equations, linking to the mean and standard deviation of the data. So you can easily link this one. So mu of y1 say is epsilon plus omega 1 minus epsilon gamma function. Okay, so 1 plus 1 by k, and then the standard deviations are the variance basically. So this one will be omega 1 minus epsilon whole square gamma function 1 plus 2 by k minus gamma's function square 1 plus 1 by k. Okay, so these are the basic equations which relates, the parameters of your variable distribution with the mean and standard deviation of the data itself. So knowing these two, you have to find out these numbers itself. So the only problem, the challenge here is, this gamma function. So this you can do it only in computers. Okay, knowing the gamma function, or in the olden days, any textbook backside they used to give this gamma function. So looking at that, you have to solve these equations to find out these two, the parameters of our distributions. Okay, so now to just have a feeling, say, let us just do some quick example. This one. So we have structural steel sections. So the steel sections are there. So now we are interested in finding axial load capacity or whatever. So somebody told that the minimum, the load capacity, say, the minimum load capacity, okay, of all these steel sections, can be modeled by type 3 distribution. And then the mean value, so the mean value of the data. So mean value of the smallest value. Okay, the mean value is, of this is around 300 you say some KIP these units, and then coefficient of variation, say. So this is 0.15. So these two has been provided here. Now if we want to find out the minimum load capacity type 3 distribution, you also should know the bound. So since it is the minimum load, say, so somebody they have given as the minimum, the lowest bound is 100 kAPS. This is the lowest bound. Okay, the lower bound. This also has been provided to you. So now, if let us say we have to find out probability, say that the axial capacity. So the axial capacity, of our steel section will be less than 200 kPa. So this has to be estimated. Okay. So we are having several structural steel sections. So the smallest values, the lowest value has been calculated, and from those numbers, say the mean value, then the standard deviation or the coefficient of variation has been estimated, and we know the lower bound also. Okay, so all the elements, none of them will be lower than this 100 kIPS. Now we have to find out the probability set that this axial capacity will be less than 200 kIPS. You have to find out these numbers. So it is very straightforward. So epsilon is 100, lower bound we know. So now the only problem is, we have to solve for, this k and then this omega 1. Okay, so now because as already I told, so this is little bit, the complicated. So the mean value say is a 300. So we can write 300 as 100 plus u1, sorry, w1 minus, 100. So gamma function is there. So 1 plus 1 by 5.0. Okay. So now k you can estimate from that one. So k has been estimated to be 5. So k you estimate from these expressions. So this expression you solve here, but you have to do the gamma function and other thing. So you solve these equations and then, so the omega 1. So this parameter turns out to be, 317.82. So these are the numbers basically, omega 1 and then k for this problem. So now the probability is say, so the axial capacity will be less than 200 kPa. So this has to be estimated. So just, you have to use that probability density function 1 minus exponent, minus 200 minus 100 by 317.82 say minus 100 whole to the power of 5, because k value is 5. So if you solve this expression, you will get 0.0202. So this is how, we use our type 1, type 2, type 3 distributions, to solve very interesting problems like this. Okay. Of course, we have seen for the lowest bound, and you can also do for the highest bound also. So this was the lowest, this one, the probability expression. So you can use this. Suppose if you are working on the largest values, say, so then, you use this type of expressions itself. So this is how the type 1, type 2, type 3 distributions, which are widely used in our practice. Now there are the very interesting cases are there, like, in the variable distribution and other things. So like, for example, in this variable distribution, say, okay, like, this expression, if you see, this lowest value. Okay, so if this expression, if you see here, and if you take, k as, you see 1, and then I say 1 by omega 1 as, some new. So what happens to this distribution if you subtract, and epsilon is 0 also if you remove. Now what happens? This variable distribution, say, where does it go? The smallest value. So p of y1. What type of distribution you will get in this expression if you substitute epsilon 0, omega 1 as some new, and then k as 1, say, what type of distribution it comes? This equation, where does it go? Substitute and tell me. K is 1, epsilon is 0, and then 1 by omega 1. Omega 1 anyway is a parameter, it's a constant. Okay, and if I write this as some new, say, what happens to that expression? What is the distribution you will get?
So similar to type 1, sir.
No, be careful. What type of distribution it is? Type 1, how it will be type 1? See, what is a type 1 distribution? See, type 1 distribution, how it will be? It is a type 1 is basically by, the exponential or whatever, this bit will come. So what happens? So now this is the density functions and others, it comes here. And now how type 1 will come, See, in this expression, you substitute epsilon 0, y1 and this one. So what happens? Just see that expression. What do you get? P y1 of y1, 1 minus? 1 minus e to the power of what will get?
Gamma.
Minus?
So minus gamma.
New times y1. You followed. So what is this a quantity? 1 minus e to the power of minus nu into y1. Say, what type of random variable it is? Which random variable has this type of probability distribution function? 1 minus e to the power of minus nu into y1. You followed. So this is a probability distribution. So what will be the density function? The derivative of this expression will be say nu into e to the power of minus nu into y1. So what type of distribution, random variable it is, which has this type of distributions? So we have discussed it previously. What type of random variable will have distribution like this? Just 1 minus e to the power of minus nu into y. We have discussed, no? See, 1 minus e to the power of minus, some new x, say. New x or some lambda x or whatever, like, lambda times x. What type of random variable it is? So which random variable will have the distribution like this? It is
Log normal.
log normal. So you remember previously we have discussed, what type of random variable will have these type of distributions. So where we have discussed those functions of random variables was there. These are the movements we have discussed, two-dimensional things, and then so this also we have seen. Can you see this? Now tell me what type of random variable it is from Weibull.
Exponential.
So Weibull distribution also, if you remove the exponential distribution, this is the probability density function, lambda e to the power of minus lambda x. Okay, so the distribution function will be, say, px of x, you have to integrate that value. So that will be 1 minus e to the power of lambda x only. You followed. So if I differentiate this expression, say 1 goes, so lambda minus minus gets cancelled. So lambda into e to the power of minus lambda x. So now you tell me what happens to Weibull distribution if you remove the lower bound and make k as 1, say. Automatically your Weibull distribution boils down to
Exponential.
Exponential. Okay, it is not. So be careful. Okay. So finally, you will get, so there, so you can have some interesting things. Okay, like type 1, type 2, type 3, say something you make some changes, they boils down to this distribution also. Now you can also verify yourself. Suppose if I take k as some 2, and then omega 1, say, as some root of 2 times alpha, say. Okay, in our this distribution itself, in this smallest value or whatever here. So what happens is, if you substitute and then you dump in and you substitute epsilon is equal to 0, and then you calculate here the density function, this expression. Okay, you make epsilon as 0, and then you take k as 2, and then this omega as some root 2 times of alpha, say. So you will get the p y1 or whatever that expression, y1 of y or whatever. So this turns out to be y1 by alpha square, exponent value, say minus half y1 by alpha whole square. Okay, so this type of things also you will get, or if you write in terms of x, say, so px of x. So this will be x by alpha square. This one, minus half x by alpha whole square. So any of you recollect what type of distribution it is? What type of random variable it is? We have discussed previously. What type of random variable is this one? Can you recollect? Okay, when we discussed about the functions of random variables, say, okay, so this important distribution came. So where it was? Let me just check. So this was auxiliary variable we have seen. So this, if you see, you remember, right? This is a transformation, very important transformation. We discussed x is equal to r cos theta, y is equal to r sin theta. So we have two random variables in Cartesian coordinate system. If I transfer this to cylindrical coordinate systems, you remember this problem we solved, and finally, a PR of r. If you see here, what is the thing you can recollect here? See this expression. What is PR of r? Now whether it is same as this one. See here we have written as x by alpha square e to the power of minus half x by alpha whole square. Actually, what type of distribution is this? You can look
Raleigh.
at Rayleigh. So look at this expression r square by 2 sigma square and r by sigma square also. So our Weibull distribution say. So if you make, you see here also, so the same expression you get x by r. So there it was r was there instead of x. If you substitute r and here also if it is r say, so you get Rayleigh distribution. Okay. So what we are trying to say is all of them are interlinked. Okay, one something you substitute here, something you substitute there. Say you can get variety of distributions. Right? All of them are interlinked. They are not like this itself. Okay. So now anyway, so with this we will close our extreme value distribution. So if you want to know more details, say. So then there are several textbooks are there. We can have a full course on extreme value theory itself. So of course that much is not required as far as this course is concerned. So this itself is sufficient for you. So like we have skipped many derivations, like these expressions we have not derived at. Okay, so I've told you these equations only, but this derivation and others, it takes separate course to teach all these things. So this much is sufficient, because when we discuss about failures of our structures, reliability and other things, we will be using this extreme value distributions after some point of time itself. Okay, so now let us go to our reliability this itself. So now I just wanted to summarize, so we have discussed random variables, and then one dimensional we have seen, two dimensional random variable we have seen, and we have also seen the probability distribution functions or density functions commonly encountered. Okay, so commonly, what are the types of probability densities, what we use regularly in practice, we have seen. Then we have also seen these extreme values also, and then we have also seen the functions of random variables. Okay, this also we have seen. So now let us see this. We will go back to reliability or the functions of random variables only. Anyway, the reliability is essentially this itself. Now, let us see this interesting this Monte Carlo simulation, which is general. Okay, let us. This is very interesting, and you can do it very easily. The Monte Carlo simulation. So if you remember, we were discussing before this extreme value theories. We were discussing about these things. Okay. Smallest value is here. No. You remember, so this long back, we have seen the transformation of random variables, nonlinear transformation. We have seen how to, the essentially is nothing but the functions of random variable only. So like, we have solved this beam problem. I showed you previously how to calculate, the probability of failure set, given your performance functions or whatever the nonlinear transformations, we have discussed previously. And then, if there is a nonlinear transformation, so we have said you expand in terms of Taylor series, and you convert that nonlinear thing into equivalent linear, and then you can solve the problem itself. Now we will see this Monte Carlo simulation, which is more general, and then very straightforward. Not only used for reliability things, but even for many other problems, one can do it in practice without any very simple the kind of thing. So what here we try to do is, suppose we have a concrete column. Say, just I will give an example. So we have a concrete column. Okay, some column is there. Now you have done lot of tests actually. Tests on this concrete, the specimens. You see. Yeah, so we have done a lot of tests on the specimens, concrete specimens, and then you have lots of data. So from the data, say you construct, you have generated lots of data. You can construct histograms. Last time we have already told. Okay, so the histograms, we can construct, and from these histograms, say you can identify what type of random variable it is, log normal or whatever. So you can identify, you see, the probability, the density functions and others. So this Now let us say for the same concrete problem, say, so from the database, the resistance basically, okay, so the load carrying capacity or whatever. Yeah, so the load carrying capacity, say, so somebody, you see, some is some 0.85 times FC dash multiplied by AC. So this is a concrete column capacity, and then the load which is applied on the concrete column say. So people have told that the load is basically normally distributed. So load is it is basically it is a normal random variable. So it has a mean value, mean value, and then the standard deviation also Q itself. Now let us say this compressive strength, this FC dash, whatever we have, say that this one, let us say it is log normal, say. Move forward. So it is log normal, the random variable. Whereas load is normal random variable, whereas resistance is log normal random. Now we want to find out probability of failure. So the resistance or the load carrying capacity of my column is this one, and AC is a deterministic. So the area, this is a it is not a normal random variable. It is basically a deterministic, it is like a constant. So we are having, two random variables. One is the load, another one is the load carrying capacity. So now what do you mean by failure here? Now, when the column will fail, what is the function? What is that we have to write here? Now, so resistance is 0.85 times FC dash AC, and load is Q, which is normally distributed. So now what will be the when it will fail? So what is the mathematical equation? How to write this one? See, we have load and we have resistance. So resistance is R, load is Q. Now, what do you mean by failure?
R by Q less than 1.
That you can write as R by Q less than 1. Other way around is no. We discussed previously. Sometimes R by Q will be less than 1, may be fine. Or other way is no. Another, what is another way?
R minus Q greater than 0.
R minus Q greater than 0. Okay, so anything you can use. So we have previously what we have seen was a log normal, something was there, say. Then you can write it as a ratio. But if it is other type of random variables, say, you can write it as subtraction also. So it is up to us. So now, so R anyway is, you see, 0.85 FC dash, AC minus Q. Okay, so now we have to find out, this probability actually. So now we have to find out the probability of failure. So which is given as, the probability of Y less than 0, or if you want to write as R by Q, that also you can write, and R by Q less than 1 also you can find out. Okay, so this is the probability of, R minus Q less than 0 itself. Now what we try to do is, so this, if you want to find out, say, like previously I have shown you nonlinear transformation, linear transformation, if things are normal random variables, say, so you can find out very easily, like you say mu R minus mu Q, a sigma of Y will be, you can find out if both of them are normal or whatever. But the problem here in our case is R is log normal. You follow? So this is a problem. Whereas a Q is normal distribution. Or it may be Poisson, or it may be this, or it may be that, or any complicated distributions are there, say. So now to find out for this type of problems, it will be very difficult actually. The random variables are different, and this one. So or if the this itself, if it is a nonlinear, say, then it will be much more complicated. So the easiest way to solve all these problems, of course, analytically also Taylor series, that is also perfectly fine. But the easiest way or the simplest way is, this Monte Carlo simulation. So what we try to do in this Monte Carlo simulation is, as follows. Okay, it's a very straightforward, very, very simple. So what we try to do is, you do everything numerically. Okay, no analytically, nothing. If you have a computer, say, it's very, very easy. So this technique was not popular in the olden days because, numerical computations, they used to take a lot of time, and the computers was expensive. So people preferred that, the Taylor series expansions, or, that analytical formulation. But now computer power has increased, and, the computations are very cheap, and, they don't take much time. So Monte Carlo simulations have become very, very popular. And it is just, you are calculating the things, everything in a numerically distribution. So what we try to do is, you randomly generate. Okay, so you randomly generate, the computer random numbers. Generate, you see, a value, of is f dash c. So you generate random numbers, say. So using, and you know it's a probability distribution functions. So you just you generate this random the numbers from your this one. So now as already we have said, R is basically log normal, say. So from the log normal, you generate some random this one. So from log normal distribution. Okay, and then you calculate R, which is a 0.85 times FC dash into AC. Okay, now you also generate, say, okay, so randomly values of load also. Okay, so this also you do using its probability distribution. So you generate randomly on a computer. Okay, so random now you have generated random values of FC dash. Let us say you have generated 10 values of FC dash and then 10 values of QC. Now you find out Y. So which is R minus Q. So numerically you are doing this one. So now you find out a Y value and then you store it. Now you repeat this these three steps, say. You have to generate some samples basically. So you repeat the above steps. Okay, above steps 1, 2, 3 until a sufficient number. So you should do some large number of times. Sufficient numbers of Y values have been generated. Okay, so you generate and then you do this one. Now finally say, so now once you have done this one, so now the next step is you plot, you find out the probability of failure. So now the probability of failure. Now how do you calculate probability of failure? So I have generated 100 values of FC dash and 100 values of load. Okay, so now using these expressions, I will find out 100 values of Y itself. So now my probability of failure will be simply a number of times, say. Y is less than 0 divided by total number of simulated shells. Simulated, the Y values. So it is very straightforward actually. So if you have done 100 simulations, say, so 100 times you have found out Y values, and let us say 2 only of them are less than 0, say, the probability of failure will be simply 2 by 100 itself. Okay, so this is how this Monte Carlo simulation does. And this Monte Carlo simulation, since it is numerical, say, it can solve any complicated problem. Non-linear, whatever, say, because you are not doing any Taylor series expansion, you are not doing anything. So you are simply generating the random numbers and then calculating and then numerically estimating the probability itself. Okay, so this is the most important advantage of this Monte Carlo simulation. Instead of solving one problem, you can solve several problems itself. So the starting point of all these Monte Carlo simulations is a random number generation. So this is the starting point, how to generate random numbers. This is the starting point. Okay. Now, of course, there are numerical techniques. Many people things are there now, but nowadays, all the computers have a random number generator. If you take MATLAB, or Python or whatever, say, you can generate, any type of random numbers, giving this seed value. So if you give one seed values, it generates, one set of random numbers. And this random number generation also varies from computer to computer. So if you are doing in a Dell system, you generate random numbers, say, so you will get one set. So the same thing, if you take another processor or other computer, you will get different type of random numbers. So now all the computers, say, with inbuilt clock, what type of random numbers they can generate computers numerically? Any of you an idea? So what type of random numbers they can generate our computers? So have any one of you tried this random number generation in a computer? So what type of random numbers a computer generates?
Binary.
What is it?
Binary
So
form.
binary only, but finally what type of random variables, so like you generate random numbers in a computer, say, okay? So if you find out its histogram or the probability density functions, what type of random numbers they will be? So your modern day computer, the chip which will be inbuilt in your computer, say, what type of random numbers it can generate, what type of random variables, they will generate a lot of random numbers. But if you take its density from other histogram and then normalize, what type of things it will be? Any idea? You remember? So if you just try on your computer MATLAB or Excel or I don't know, Python, they have random number generators are there. You do it and then you can just check computers can generate. So all the computers, they can generate uniformly distributed random numbers. You follow? Uniform distributed random, they only can do like this. Okay. So this is a chip which is already inbuilt in the computer. Okay, random variables that is between 0 and 1. So if you generally generate a computer, you will get 0 to 1, so many random numbers, 1,000 random numbers you have generated, say. And if you find out its histogram, that you can find out that all of them corresponds to uniform this one. Now if I want to generate normal random numbers, how do I generate? My computer cannot generate random numbers, normal or exponential random numbers, say. My computer cannot generate. Our computers can generate only uniform random number. How do I generate normal random numbers on a computer? Normal or log normal or whatever, say. What is that we have to do? How do I generate a normal random number on a computer? My computer can generate uniformly distributed random variable. That is, the chip what is inbuilt in my computer. How do I generate a normal random variable? What is that we have to do? Somebody has given you 1,000 random numbers. Okay, all of them corresponds to uniformly distributed, the probability density function. Now, if I want to generate normal random numbers, what is that you have to do? Or log normal random numbers or Poisson or whatever. So what is that you have to do? What you will do? We have discussed it previously. What is that we have discussed? See, from a uniform random variable, can I generate normal random variable? Or given normal random variables, can I generate log normal? Say from normal, can I do log normal?
Yes, sir.
Why? How? Suppose if x is normal random variable, say, what will be log normal? If I want to generate log normal, so what is that I have to do?
E to the power x.
The log x, be careful, okay? This will be log normal. So if I, of course, reverse is, if I have y which is log normal, so then e to the power of y will be normal distribution. You followed. So now, as already we have said, all these normal, log normal, uniform, and all other things are all interrelated actually. So what one does is, our computers can generate only uniform distribution only. But from that, how do I generate normal? How do I generate log normal? We have already seen, right, the transformations of random variables. You followed. I told you, right, one very important transformation. You remember when we discussed functions of random variables, say, one very important transformation we have seen. Where it is, let me just check. So this was 2 dimensions. Yeah. See, like for example, say, we have seen this transformation, no? This was, yes. Here. So functions of random variables we have discussed here. See, you remember this thing here. See, like, if you have any, this one say, you followed. So these all these things we have seen here. So original random variable was something. If you know the transformation, say, so then automatically, you can find out this, the random variable itself. So this also we have seen. I think one more important thing was that. So now how do you get Rayleigh distributions? Say? See, if I want to find out Rayleigh distribution, say Rayleigh random variable or whatever. So what is that I have to do? I know normal random variables. Knowing normal random variable, how do I get Rayleigh distribution? See, if I know normal random variables x and y, if I want to do this Rayleigh distribution, so what is that I have to do? We have seen here. What is that we did here previously? See how Rayleigh distribution came? Now, if I have a normal random variables, say, if I transform them into cylindrical coordinate system, I will get, this itself. So if x and y are my normal distributions, so if I want to find out Rayleigh distribution, what I have to do? I will calculate R, which is the square root of x square plus y square. So if x and y are normal, what type of random variable will be R? Now, if x and y are normal, say, what will be R? R is now what type of random variable is R? Just now we said, right? Now, so your R is basically, you can see here. So your R is Rayleigh distribution actually. So now if I know x and y, if we are normal, say, and if I want Rayleigh random variables, so what is that I have to do? I have to simply do square root of x square plus you see the y square itself. Okay. So this is a very the important thing which we try to do it in practice. This is I forgot. Yeah, this is the one which I was telling. So now if I have random variables, say x is uniform random variable from 0 to 1. Y is also uniform random variable from 0 to 1. Okay. So if I do this transformation, you remember last time we said z, which is a transformation is highly complex, minus 2 log of x whole so to the power of half cos of 2 pi y. Finally, what will be the probability density function for z? Knowing x and y, say, if I know x and y, they are uniform random variables, and if this is a transformation, say, I can get my density function of z is see here. What is the density function here? What do we get? Do this transformation. This is nothing but
Gaussian density.
it is a normal random variable. So how do we generate? So how did we generate this normal random variable or the Gaussian function from uniform random variables through this transformation? So on a computer, say, if I give you 100 values of the uniform random variable x and then uniform random variable y, say, if I find out a new random variable, this is my transformation minus 2 times log of x cos of 2 pi y, and if I compute its histograms, automatically z corresponds to normal distribution. So on a computer, if you know uniform random variable, you can generate any distribution you like, but only thing what you should know is the transformation function. So this is a transformation for Gaussian, transformation for all, we have all the transformations basically. Okay, so this is the most important thing on a computer. So computer generates uniform, so you should know the transformation. So now this is how we try to do it. So uniformly random variables computer generates. From that you do this transformations. You can generate any random variable you want by this transformation. Okay, so this is how we do. And once n0 comma 1, we can do whatever we like actually. Okay, and now let us see this you followed, right? Now, see, like for example, say, so now we have a simple example I will tell you. So this is a cantilever beam. Okay, so we have a cantilever beam. It is subjected to UDL, and then there is also a concentrated load also P. This is W. So now so at a distance of 6 feet, say, I have to find out the bending moment. Okay, and it has been given that the bending moment, okay, the loads P and W, they are random variables. Okay, they are normal random variables. Both are independent. Normal random variables they are, which means there is no correlation between them. So and the mean value of P, say, so this is mu of P is some 4,000 lbs, and then it's and it's sigma P. This is 400 lb. This is the standard deviation, and similarly, so the mean value of this UDL is 50 lb per foot, and then the standard deviation, say, so this is 5 lb per foot. Okay, so these are the numbers. So mean and standard deviation you see has been given. Now I have to find out the bending moment here itself. Okay, and we have to find out the probability distribution function, or you calculate. the mean value and standard deviations of bending moment at 6 feet distance from the beam. Now, how do you calculate what is the bending moment here? M is what is the basic equation? Tell me. So load is a P and this is a W. What is the bending moment at this place? From ordinary mechanics, what is the bending moment? Now, what is the bending moment there? The expression for bending moments from cantilever beam this side.
6P
Minus W also is there, no? So sorry, this load is upwards. I'm sorry. Let's say upwards. This concentrated load is up. This is W is down. Tell me, 6. What will be the bending moment due to W?
18.
18 times. Excellent. So this is my bending moment. Now I have to find out mean value and standard deviation of the bending moment. Now here Monte Carlo simulation is not required, okay, because directly these are all normal random variables. P is also normal, W is also normal. So what type of random variable will be M? Both of them are normal and there is no correlation. So what will be M? M also will be what type of random variable?
Normal.
Obviously it will be normal. And what will be the mean value of M? Standard, straightforward actually. Okay, so mean value of M will be, mu of M, say. It will be simply 6 times mu of P minus 18 times, mu of W. So this is just straightforward. You can substitute those things. So this turns out to be some 23.1, K foot. And then the standard deviation, say, sigma of M. You can easily calculate it, straightforward. Whole square plus 18, we have already seen all those details. Okay, so this turns out to be 2.4 something. So these are the numbers actually. Now this problem we want to do from Monte Carlo simulation also. Now what is that we have to do from Monte Carlo simulation means if I want to solve this problem a Monte Carlo simulation, say how we have to solve. So we have told you, right, the steps. What is that you have to do? You have to do everything numerically. So you have to generate these random numbers. So you have to generate normal random numbers because the loads P as well as W, say both of them are the normal random variables. Okay, so let us say we generate normal random numbers from the computer actually. Okay, so computer it generates obviously the uniform. You have to do a transformation, but of course in MATLAB directly norm RND command is there, directly it generates the normal random number given the mean value and then you see the standard deviation also. Okay, so this is a random number. So I have generated in a computer. Okay, so I'm writing so minus 1.64289. So this ZI normal random number, standard normal. So this is a number 0.303194. Okay, 1.13782. Then minus point is it 314507. And then minus 1.08065. So 5 random numbers are generated on my computer. So this is n0, 1. But now my load is mean value is not 0. It is a 4400 lb. So I will find out P. I have to do the transformation 4000 plus Zi into 400. Okay, to transform to this normal distribution. So n mu P sigma P. So it's straightforward only. So this turns out to be 3343, 4121, 4455, then 3874, and then 3568. So this is I have generated 5 samples for P. Now similarly, say I will do for W also. I generate another 5 random numbers for W. So this Zi is minus 471923. 2.24672 and then using minus 1.83483, then 0.723697, then 313.783. So these are the random numbers and then I have to transform to these as n0, 1. I have to transform to sigma P. So this Wi will be 50 plus Zi into 5 because I know the mean value of Wi is sorry, Now, mean value of W is 50 and then 5. Okay, so using that expression, say. So these are the numbers here. So this turns out to 47.64, then 61.23, then 40.83, 46.38, then 51.57. So these are the random numbers. So I have generated 5 samples of load, 5 samples of W. So what I will do is I will substitute here Mi is equal to 6 times Pi minus 18 times Wy. Okay, so now I will substitute my 5 sample and I runs from 1 to 5. So my bending moment values say. So 5 samples, you substitute all those things. I will get 19 some 200, 23 620, 25 990, and then 22 410, and then 20 480. So these are my set actually. So numerically I have estimated this bending moments. Now I have to find out the mean value of the bending moment. You know, right? Already simply 1 by 5. Mi. I runs from 1 to 5. So just to take an average here. So this turns out to be 22 point some 34 kilo foot or whatever we get. And the standard deviation say this also you can easily find out numerically only from the data. Okay, so this turns out to be 2.659 some kilo you see foot itself. So this we have done numerically from the Monte Carlo simulation actually. Now we can compare with the exact value. So what is the exact value? Now the exact value was now what is your comment here? 23.1 and 2.4. So 23.1 and then 2.4 was the exact values. And now what is that your comment now? Whether the mean value, standard deviation, whatever you have estimated, so they are close or different, or what is your observation?
So they're different.
No, they're slightly different. Okay, 22.34, 23.1. So, but here we have not done anything. We just simply generated random numbers in the computer and we have solved numerically only. So, if you want to get exact value, so what is that we have to do? So, now from 23.21, I want to converge to this one. What is that I have to do? So, right now, how many samples we have generated?
So only 5.
Now, if you want more accurate, so what you have to do? You have to increase the
Increase number of samples.
So if you same problem say, you can do it on a computer, MATLAB, 50 samples if you take say. So mean value of M turns out to be 22.99 and standard deviation say turns out to be 2.332. You followed. So you can see as more this is much closer to the the exact value. So if you take 100 samples, 1,000 samples, if you increase the number of samples say, then obviously the solution approaches close to the exact result itself. So this is a very simple the thing for the straightforward for this Monte Carlo simulation. So anything complex, it may be nonlinear, it may be anything, very easy to solve. Just generate numerically the numbers, solve it, and then numerically you compute the probability if you want, or mean value if you want, the standard deviation also. Okay, so I will stop here. We will continue in our next class. So if you have any doubts, you can ask.